Back now to the President's State of the Union address and get an assessment from a member of Congress who was in the room last night. Joining me now is Congressman Brad Knott, who serves on the House Judiciary Committee and the Homeland Security Committee. He represents North Carolina's 13th congressional district. He previously served as a federal prosecutor. Congressman Knott, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to see you.
Hey, Tony, it's great to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So let me first just get your overall thoughts and reactions to the president's speech last night.
You know, it was a great speech. It was the longest speech for a State of the Union address of any in history, but it felt like it was about 25 minutes being there. That's a pretty good metric. But what I really took away was the president, he asserted himself not only as the leader of the country, but the leader of the party who's going to fight for the American people. And whether it's protecting innocents, protecting children, protecting folks against the harms of illegal immigration, protecting our market economy, protecting choice in schools. I mean, these are all things that the president was very forceful in kind of delineating out the stakes, not just of where we've been, but where we're going to go. And I thought the speech was resoundingly successful in being patriotic and being forward-looking and really encouraging to most Americans who need something to be encouraged about. He said, we can do this if we stick together and rely on the same ingredients that have always worked for our great country.
You know, I did kind of see it as, it had the feel of kind of a pep rally. It was, you know, a celebratory event for the country. There were a few themes that he really honed in on, and I think as a former prosecutor, you would connect with this, but he spent a lot of time talking about crime and eliminating crime, creating safety in communities, talked about the National Guard being certain places, and of course, national security. But that, I mean, there's a reason he probably focused on that. Americans in many places feel insecure.
Sure. Well, you know, sanctuary jurisdictions cover anywhere from 35 to 45% of the people in this country. And the sanctuary jurisdictions, Tony, as you well know, they're not just a passive exercise. They are active in the efforts that they take to protect criminals. And an example of that is if someone is arrested who's an illegal alien that was charged with taking indecent liberties on an American child or selling drugs to an American student, when they get a federal detainer, notice that the federal government wants to come to that jail to deport that illegal alien criminal. Sanctuary jurisdictions will often release that criminal onto the street. And you extrapolate that into the broader body politic, and you have chaos, you have crime that flourishes, you have lawlessness, obviously. And the president is absolutely correct to say we are not going to tolerate that. And he listed the cities that had cooperated with the National Guard, with federal agents, and had worked hand in hand. And the results are staggering. I mean, drastic decreases in crime of every sort. And, you know, public safety is the right that no one talks about. Americans should be safe, whether we're in our homes or on the street. And the president is the leader who will restore that right.
Connected to that, there were a few things that the president called upon Congress to actually do legislatively. A lot of what was talked about last night, there was some, I would say, kind of a victory lap of some of the things he's accomplished in the first year. Celebration of the country. You know, I love to see the elevation of the military. That was a very central theme last night. But he called upon Congress to pass the Save America Act. That's related to the immigration issue. It's related to the crime issue. It is protecting America's election and the integrity of elections.
Sure. You know, we have an extraordinary problem here in the United States that is completely resting on illegal immigration. Illegal immigrants in the country right now, they vote, they hold appointed offices. We know that they have held positions in law enforcement offices, school boards. Illegal immigration has really permeated every corner of the country. And if we continue to incentivize illegal immigration, it's going to continue to happen. And sealing this problem, one basic step is requiring an ID, requiring a proof of citizenship before you can register to vote, and then an ID to vote. It's a basic common sense test that the American people support. And I hope that we can get this across the finish line.
Well, the American people support it, but some of your Democratic colleagues, or most of them, do not support it.
Right.
So I wonder, when most people don't know this, but when you go to vote there in the House, you have an ID card, and you have to use that card to vote. Now, do your Democratic colleagues, have they protested about that?
No, there's no protest about that. There's no protest about Zohran Mamdani requiring an ID to shovel snow. There's no protest about showing an ID to do various activities, whether it's boarding an airplane or buying certain things. But this is one that really strikes a nerve with the Democratic Party, and it really begs the question why. And I think we know why that's the case, but that shouldn't stop us from trying to pass this common sense law.
So the next step is in the Senate, and that's where the president looked. He looked to the majority leader in the Senate, John Thune, because the House has passed it. It's now up to the Senate to take this and move it forward.
That's right. And, one of the big questions I have, candidly, is why every Republican senator is not for this measure. Again, we know that in various cities and jurisdictions around the country, illegal aliens have the right afforded to them to vote by these liberal governments. That cannot happen in federal elections. It absolutely must be stopped. And why these Republican senators, I don't want to name them, are resisting getting on board with this is beyond me, because most of the Democrat senators are obviously in lockstep against it. But I think if the American people can continue to persuasively beat this drum of persuasion, I think we can turn the tide here. I mean, it's an 80-20 issue, as you well know.
Well, Congressman Knott, that's what we've seen on so many other issues. One of the other issues I'm going to talk about in this next segment is the transgender issue. And that's because people spoke up, and parents began to speak up about this a few years ago. And then the leadership starts to get in the parade. So it's very important that people verbalize where they stand on these issues. And by the way, folks, you can weigh in on this. Text the word SAVE to 67742. That's SAVE to 67742. Congressman Knott, just got about a minute and a half left. Talking about immigration, the Department of Homeland Security is still not funded. What's happening?
Well, the Democrats are flailing. I mean, again, they've lost the narrative here. They want to try to obstruct and confuse as much as possible. The American people know that illegal immigration is a huge problem, and they support the removal of illegal immigrants. ICE is funded, and the Border Patrol is funded, and so the Democrats are throwing a tantrum and hurting people completely unrelated to immigration enforcement, and it's a real disservice to the country.
So it doesn't look, it's not going to get funded this week because Congress is headed back out of town. Democrats have a retreat. So, I mean, we're looking at next week before there's any possibility of it being funded, correct?
That's right. And this is the TSA, this is FEMA, this is the Coast Guard. I mean, real patriots who are going without paychecks because the Democrats playing a political game here.
Congressman Brad Knott, always great to see you, my friend. Thanks so much for taking time to join us today.
Thank you, Tony.
All right. And folks, again,